welcome to this program. My names are Esther Nyazi Jessica. Together with me in the studio is
Peace Nachitende Muyembwa
and
John Okumu Emorut. And over there we have our colleague from the Uganda Interpretation Sign Language. And I want to request you to stay home and safe, to keep yourself against the coronavirus. You're most welcome.
Today our subject is entrepreneurship education, and in this lesson we are going to handle a project. In this project you are going to learn how to make charcoal briquettes. We are going to make charcoal briquettes from our local materials around our community or around our homes, which are not expensive or they are not they are at low cost. At the end of the program, you'll be required to get some exercise books and the writing material so that you can put down some activities which you are going to carry out in your free time. At the end of this project, you should be able to identify the right materials for making charcoal briquettes. And after identifying the right materials, you'll be able to make the briquettes and use them. You may ask yourself, why briquettes? That question is being answered in a case study, which my colleague John is going to read to you. Pay attention so that you get every word in the case study. Thank you.
Yes, our dear viewers, I'm going to take you through a case study. And this case study is written about the coronavirus. This is a disease which started from the Wuhan city of China in December 2019. This is a disease which was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization in March 2020. A disease that has spread to over 210 countries all over the world, infecting over 3 million people, and unfortunately, over 200 people have died. In Uganda, this disease was identified in March 2020 when the first coronavirus was registered. And because of that, our president decided to put in place a number of measures to control the spread of this disease. And these included shutting down schools, churches, bars, including public transport. Also, there was lockdown, which kept so many people at their homes. The lockdown created a crisis in fuel because many people failed to get fuel for cooking their meals, despite the fact that government had provided the meals for the people. A number of homes never had fuel. Entrepreneurship is a subject which teaches creativity and innovation. It teaches you problem solving, and it teaches you critical thinking. Critical thinking. So you will be required, therefore, to think on how to solve that problem of charcoal, absence of charcoal at homes. And this is what we are bringing you to learn how to make charcoal briquettes, making them from local materials in your homes, simple materials to make briquettes so that you're able to cook your meals and you can sell them to earn a living. My colleague Peace is going to take you through the meaning of charcoal briquettes and the materials that you require to make the charcoal briquettes. Over to you, Peace.
I remember His Excellency, the President of Uganda, offered maize flour and beans to Ugandans. However, people complained of how they would cook the beans. So, this project for making charcoal briquettes is here to answer that query. What are briquettes? When we talk of briquettes, they are small, compact blocks made from organic waste, which you can use for cooking in a charcoal stove or fire. So, using your available resources, using waste in our homes, we can make these briquettes, and at the end of the day, save the money that we would have spent on buying the ordinary charcoal. In the long run, the environment is also conserved. So in making these charcoal briquettes, using materials around us, these are some of them. One, we are going to use soil. We are all surrounded with soil. And in this case, we need only 2 cups of soil. Secondly, we are going to need charcoal dust. We all know what charcoal dust is. Check in that cavera where you keep your charcoal. Remove all the bigger particles. The remaining fine particles is the charcoal dust. Thirdly, we need cow dung, especially for those who can access this cow dung. However, even without the cow dung, you can make the charcoal briquettes. Additionally, we need water. And for our demonstration, only 2 cups of water or a liter of water will be enough. Additionally, we need basins. And in this case, we are going to use 3 basins. And then we shall need a pair of gloves for those of you who can afford the gloves. But the alternative could be a cavera that is readily available. But even with your open hands, you can mix the different materials that we are going to use. And then lastly, we need a cup or a mug, which we are going to use in measuring the different quantities that we are going to use. Before I leave, I talked about soil, which is also equally readily available. But the soil we prefer is the brown soil or anti-hail soil. Why? It's easier to mold. I'll turn you back to my colleague John for a step-by-step explanation on how to make charcoal briquettes.
Now, we are going to take you through a step-by-step process of making charcoal briquettes. And my colleague here, Esther, is going to demonstrate how these briquettes are made. Step number 1, get ready with what you are going to use. And here, we are now putting on our gloves. You can put on the glove when you have it, so that it does not have to, you don't have your hand get hurt with sharp materials which can be in the soil or in the charcoal dust. But if you don't have the gloves, as we said earlier on, you can use a kavera, or even your free hands can be able to handle these materials. Step number 2, collect and sort the materials.
Thank you, John. We have already collected our charcoal dust. The charcoal dust, you have to remove all the bigger particles. Remove them because they are not going to work well. We remain with only the fine particles when you are making briquettes. And soil also, you collect enough soil and remove the bigger particles which are not going to work well with us. If you are able, you can crush them so that they become soft. After we have sorted our materials, we go to the next step.
Now, our step 3 is you start making the measurements of what you are going to use. Remember, if you want to make more briquettes, use more charcoal dust and more soil. But if you want to make fewer briquettes, you use also fewer materials. But for our demonstration today, we are going to use 4 cups of soil and 2 cups of charcoal dust, as Esther is demonstrating to you.
Thank you, John. As we don't have enough time, we are going to use 2 cups of charcoal dust. That is 1. Second one. Two. That is 2 cups of charcoal dust. Then we add on 1 cup of soil. We say brown soil is good, but you can use any soil. When you have put them together, you may continue sorting them so that your charcoal briquette will come out nicely without bigger particles. If you are allergic to dust, you can put on a mask. After you have measured, you mix with your free hand. You can use both hands if the mixture is big enough, but for this one, we are just doing it for demonstration. Thank you.
So having sorted and taken measurement of the materials that you are going to use, Esther has just been demonstrating to you how to mix, to make a mixture of the materials. Esther, can you continue with the mixture?
As I said earlier, you mix the soil and the charcoal dust well, so that they mix very well, that your briquettes will come out nicely.
Adding some water as well?
Next, we add water. Don't add in much water. Add a little water at a time and mix. John, can you add more water for me?
So you add in little by little, you pour water in the mixture as you mix gently so that the mixture is well mixed.
Sometimes you may put in too much water. If you realize that the mixture is watery, you add in more soil. Because soil is a binder, it will help you to bind the briquettes together. When you have mixed it well, make sure it can hold together. This one still has much water, so let us add more soil. Until you have made your mixture moldable.
After making and mixing the materials ready for molding, now it takes us to our next step of molding the briquettes, which you can say or call making the briquettes. And Esther is also going to show to you how to mold the briquette.
Thank you, John. After you have made a mixture, you get some mixture in your hand and start molding together with using your two hands. This one is still watery, so I'm going to add more soil. Make sure it is moldable. You can make any size or any shape. After you have put together your mold, you coat it with dust, charcoal dust, so that it becomes more stronger and smooth. You coat it with dust, the very fine dust, so that it is enough. Remember, when you are collecting materials, don't use sand, okay? And don't use, what else, George?
Esther, are you ready?
Dust.
Is our briquette ready now?
Yeah, this one is ready.
Okay, now that takes us to our next step of drying the briquette. Esther, how do we dry the briquettes?
After making your briquette and it's ready, get a dry place. You can put there a cavera, or if it's dry enough, you can put it on the ground under the sun so that it can dry very well. Briquettes take 2 to 3 days to dry. That is if it's under direct sunshine. But if you don't have access to the sun, you can put it in a shed and it will dry in a week and you'll be able to use it.
Thank you, Esther, for that demonstration. Now, assuming our briquettes have taken 2 to 3 days, they are ready to use, our final stage is to use these briquettes to light our sigiri, ready to cook our beans, cook our posho, or anything that you may wish to cook. Peace, can you let us see how we can light our briquettes for preparing our meals? Over to you, Peace.
Thank you, colleagues. Esther and John, you've done a great job taking us through the different steps or a step-by-step process in making charcoal briquettes. Now that we have our product ready for use, remember we said we can use these briquettes in a charcoal stove, that is a sigiri, or we can use it in any ordinary fire while cooking. So, how do you light your charcoal stove? The first thing you do, get the ordinary charcoal, the usual charcoal we use from trees, from timber, put them on the charcoal stove. Mine is here, already lit. So get the ordinary charcoal, light it, and when it's well lit, start putting the briquettes one by one. Start putting the briquettes one by one.